but it is live, seemingly.
No, I'm sure you haven't forgotten anything. You are total and complete professional at this, despite all the mounting evidence to the contrary.
Yeah. I mean, I only ran my own stream for like 5 years and somehow still know how to do it properly, but you know.
Well, look. Just because you ran it doesn't mean you ran it well.
Yeah. Look, I didn't come here to be personally attacked, okay? Am I even on the right profile?
Oh, well,
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, I am.
Damn, I must be in the wrong appointment.
Okay.
I thought this was the verbal abuse therapy hotline.
Yeah. No, this is the Twitch moderation auditions.
Oh, what's the difference?
You have to be a dear girl to get in here. You have horns.
I have a horn.
We might have a spot for a unicorn.
Think lower.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay,
We
okay.
don't. We're not allowed to ask where your horn is. Only that you have one.
Gotcha.
It's a socially conscious recruiting effort. You know, we're trying not to offend anybody. If I ask you where your horn is, I'd probably have to ask you what your sex is, and that might lead to some complicated lawsuits.
Oh, it would. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, and we're not that kind of people. We're not alt-right here. Come on, whiskey. I mean, it's
yeah,
not. You know,
yeah. We're not alt right. We're alt left.
I prefer to call it a lynching advocate.
And there goes the stream.
I'm you know how people are like, pro-life and pro-abortion? I'm pro-nooses.
Well,
That's my party.
I can't think of any jokes that wouldn't cross a line I'm not supposed to cross.
That's gonna be my political part in the news party. We're gonna tie things together. One way or another.
Reminds me of a guy on another podcast I was watching that's rather well known, who they were talking about like how Republicans are red and Democrats are blue, and he doesn't like it. He's like, we need like a different color, maybe a colorless party, because it's not, and he goes to say it, they're like, no, don't say it.
Color.
It's like, we need the white party, and everyone's like, no, what are you saying?
I mean,
it was amazing. I love that clip because he does it without realizing what he's saying.
I mean, we probably should have a white party, to be honest. I mean, if we're gonna go and be completely honest, we're gonna play fucking identity politics and everyone's gonna be thrown out in their own tribes. They actually saw a question from a super chatter for Nick Ricada that was like, if it was either Nick Ricada or somebody else, and it was like, if you could go back in time and normalize verbiage, one thing verbiage wise, like the left has normalized like trans and all this other stupid shit and racism, what would it be? And he said like anti-white. I would have locked that in the vernacular of every person, was anti-white, because that's what it is.
That's better than what I'd lock in, because I'd probably find something retarded. So, while we're on the subject of, the social justices, and not to be confused with the, Supreme Court justices, but we got an article here, and I will stream it to you momentarily, just as soon as I stop boomering up like you were moments ago.
There is some good news before you get into your article, though.
Okay.
I didn't cover it because it's still kind of ongoing. Apparently Biden's plan is his spending plans kind of flopped.
Yeah, I've got an article about that.
Oh, okay. And I'll save my comments.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm the bleach demon for the stream. It's fine. It's fine.
I just know. See, the one time I forget to remind you.
It's fine. It's okay. I'm white. I'm taking it back.
Fucking bleach watching everyone's eyes. I see how it is. All right, so here we go. Let's get into this. This one will take us deep into the bowels of this feminist writer and Warcraft.
Oh Lord.
Former World of Warcraft devs start studio where only female staffer is a dog.
So you mean they're already off to a better start than Blizzard is?
Pretty much. I mean, if you think about it, it's hard to sexually harass someone who's not there.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, see, I love it because it's like, you want to know the best ways to stop sexual harassment in the workplace?
Segregate men and women in the workplace.
Or just remove women's ability to work entirely. Then you don't have to worry about it.
I mean, if you have the office space, you just put a divider and be like, that's your half of the room, that's your half.
See, what the fuck stupid thing is I've sat there, I've watched enough like corporate culture videos to know that like you'll have HR be like, yeah, you know, we don't want sexual assault claims and blah 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 blah. Now let's do jello shots off the young intern's body. Hey, it's a team building exercise. It's like, the fuck are you doing?
A team building exercise where they're already trying to frame people so they can fire.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck are you doing? You can't have like, oh, casual Fridays and beers on your desk and then be like, yeah, well, we're super against sexual assault. Then stop giving a climate that allows that.
Yeah, stop giving drugs and alcohol to your employees, and maybe they'll stop making bad life decisions.
Which it also feels bad because it's like, if you're working at that hellhole, that's probably one of the few ups of your entire year. And so I don't want to necessarily take it from them, but Jesus Christ. Just
good old hookers and blow Friday.
Yeah. Well, I remember there was like a big story about how like back in the day a lot, they still kind of do this, where executives would take like game developers when they were doing really well and they would basically take them to like the strip clubs to negotiate. And they were women that were brought in on the dev team like this, and they started complaining, right? Because it's like, this isn't like a inclusive environment. It's like, hey, there's a fucking bar. I mean, a salad bar over there. You're included. Go ahead.
My argument there, as HR would be, you just don't seem to be fitting in with the company culture.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to let you go.
It's just one of those things like, yeah, business used to be a lot better when men could just, you know, be men and negotiate normally. Because, I mean, it's a pretty good tactic when you're negotiating, is to bring someone to a strip club. It's very hard.
Yeah, then they're very distracted.
Yeah.
From whatever the terms are.
I probably could talk a lot more money out of somebody in a strip club than I can in a stuffy office. Like, I mean, think about it. The guy's really worried about how he's gonna have to explain why he has body glitter on his suit to his wife when he goes home. You got him on that alone.
So, it's a short article, so I'll read through it. It says, ex-Blizzard developers who started Notorious Studios seems to have exactly 0 women on their development team. The staff page shows 9 developers, 2 advisors, all of which are men, and 1 canine chief morale officer named Ellie, which means that the studio has more dogs than women. Yikes. Notorious Studios is an RPG studio made entirely of former Blizzard developers, most of whom worked on World of Warcraft. Although Activision Blizzard is currently under legal and public scrutiny for gender discrimination, a report from 2017 confirmed that at least 21% of their employees were women. So, presumably, the founder had met at least a couple women who were skilled enough to work at one of the highest profile video game companies in the world. He just didn't hire any of them to be a part of the founding team. Kotaku reached out to them and they didn't comment. Well,
Of course. Why would you ever talk to Kotaku?
There's a couple of things they failed to consider in this paragraph here. Where it's like, oh, so surely there would have been a couple of women. Maybe they did ask and they didn't want any part of it. That's entirely possible.
Yeah, I mean, it's also maybe a lot of the women that they know just didn't have the skills that they prefer.
Well, or just the skills their particular team needed. It's
Yeah.
also possible that these particular guys were like going out with each other on the weekends to have fun. And they're like, hey, we should just make our own studio. And so they didn't need to hire anyone. Everyone was already there. So there's a lot of possibilities. And they discount all of them and are like, oh, well, clearly they didn't hire a woman because they're sexist.
Well, that's the thing though. Like if you can't even develop games the way you used to anymore, right? Because back in the day, this is how games used to be made. It would just be a bunch of guys that would get together and they're like, "Oh, we have an idea. Let's make it." And then, let's slowly build it from nothing to this like monumental empire. But nowadays, if you try to do that, they'd be like, "Oh, you're sexist because your startup didn't have women."
I mean, honestly, she should be more angry that none of the women who were being harassed had this idea.
Because
Like, why didn't they go, you know what, screw this, we're skilled enough, let's go make our own company?
yeah, why don't you go start an all-woman development team, right? If you're so mad.
Yeah, I mean, and see, here's the thing, this is someone being mad for these people who, again, may have actually been asked and just declined. So they're getting mad off their assumption as opposed to having solid evidence. And they're not even the person affected by it. And they don't have evidence that any of the people who might have been affected by it had a problem with it. So, yeah, it's a pretty damning paragraph right there against the author of this article.
Well, this is the game they play all the time. Oh, you didn't include women, so obviously you're sexist. Not, oh, you had a good idea. It's not like they won't include women in the future. It's not like they have a sign on the fucking door that says no girls allowed. I mean, sure, their team might not expand anytime soon, but it could at one point, and it might include a woman at that time.
Yeah, it probably won't expand much until either A, they need someone specialized for a specific position, or B, the game they're developing does incredibly well and they actually have the money to expand.
I swear to God, if I ever get the money to start up a game development studio, I will, I will pay some Asian porn star to fly over the United States and get her dual citizenship just so she can be the hot maid in the fucking game studio that cleans up everybody's like hands and stuff like that. And I'd be like, look, we employ a woman.
See, I thought you were gonna go with the I'd hang a no girls allowed sign. But that's better.
Yeah, just hire the
Be like
cutest Asian.
hiring cosplay maid / actor.
Yeah, hiring Asian porn star, have to spend long hours around nerdy, maybe socially awkward men. Has to be good at cleaning.
In this situation, because she's there to clean and improve morale, she'd actually be working under the dog's position.
It's like, yeah, people come in and negotiate, and there's this Asian girl, this really cute Asian girl with like their skirt's so short that barely covers anything, and it's just like, who's that? It's like, oh, that's our diversity hire. You know what they say, if you're gonna hire a token, you at least need to enjoy it.
Yeah, but see, for the diversity hire, they want you to hire one of the ugly ones that couldn't get a job because they learned lesbian dance theory as their major.
I don't care.
See, you can't just get a token minority to put in your company. You have to get a token minority that has the right opinions.
Oh, she can have the right opinions, she just doesn't develop games. I'd pay her to go out there and say all the right things, yeah. Like, I mean, but she's not going to be developing games. That's the thing. It's like, there you go. And I know what they're going to say. She's not a developer. It's like, I don't pay her to be.
Hey. She's developing the workplace atmosphere.
And it's like, how do you know she's, while she's cleaning, she doesn't give because she's a smart woman, you fucking bigot. How do you know she's not giving like the men some tips on like what's more socially acceptable for women? They are socially awkward men, by the way. She is paid to talk to them and treat them well and stuff. So maybe she just gives them some tips on what women would like to see.
So, in an interview with VentureBeat, Notorious Studio co-founder, whose name I can't fucking pronounce, Kaliki, I think that's how you pronounce it, acknowledged that Blizzard faces a major reckoning for gender discrimination and sexual harassment. He said that the all-male team was also affected by Blizzard's troubles and offered a solution for avoiding their former employer's mistakes.
Yeah, imagine that. Hey, guys, guess what? We too were affected by it, right? We saw this shit happening at Blizzard. So what we did, we're not hiring women because then there can be no bad things happening to women. This is what you're going to see this a lot more often too. You're going to see a lot more guy-oriented fields just not hiring women.
Ah,
And they're just going to stop caring because if every single fucking time you hire women and these cucky little faggots that you bring along with them that simp for them, it's going to cause a fucking lawsuit and you don't want to have to deal with it. You don't, when you're, especially like Blizzard, right? Blizzard was like that waitress, right? That kind of dumpy waitress that was like holding 3 trays very precariously, and someone came by and slapped her ass with a lawsuit, and now she's got all 3 fucking plates on the floor. Right? So you don't want to have a sexual assault suit at literally the worst time you could possibly have it.
yeah. So he's quoted as saying, "What's important is starting a culture and having no tolerance for harassment and things like that, and also being transparent and open," Kaliki said. He added that Notorious Studios has a flatter structure made up of people who wrote code, made art, and designed pieces of games rather than serving as leads or directors. Harassment usually comes from a subordinate superior sort of relationship. We're hoping that a flatter structure can address some of those problems, he said in the interview.
Flatter. Yeah. I like that, flatter.
Well, basically, they're all in it together. It's not like one guy is the boss.
You know what I find funny too? When they talk about like you'll see a lot of SJWs talk about how like there shouldn't be like payment classes, like a developer shouldn't be paid more than than like I guess someone who is under them or QA tester, or the owner shouldn't be paid more than the developers and stuff like that. It's like, you know how that works? You know a system like that actually works? Like where you get all the things you want, right? And there's no problems with it? When it's like 5 guys getting together to develop games. Because then, yeah, they view each other as equals. If you add one woman...
there's only 5. Like, even if you had 100 guys and they all had very different positions, suddenly you wouldn't have equal pay for it.
You've got to have a hierarchy because you can't pay everyone the same because it creates problems all over the place.
Well, it's what's called a natural hierarchy. It's a hierarchy of competence. So the most competent who get the most done or the most important work done are naturally going to be compensated more. So when you only have like literally less than 10 people like they do, who are all integral pieces to this project getting done, yeah, they could easily just split it in equal percentage to each of them. And no one would complain because everyone realizes every single person has to be there or it doesn't get done. But if you double or triple that workforce, suddenly no, people are actually replaceable. They're not that important, which means you don't need to pay them as much.
You know, getting a little ahead of your article, I looked at the bottom comment there where it's like, did you really feel the need to write this article? When you have people on Kotaku calling you out, you know you done fucked up. Like these people, like I troll the Kotaku comments every so often just to see see the level of fucking derangement that the average Kotaku reader is living on. When these people are calling you fucking out for your stupid shit, it's like, wow, man.
Yeah, you know you screwed up.
And they heavily moderate their comment section too. Like, I'm surprised it's even there.
So it goes on and says, it's definitely a lot harder for men to harass women if there are no women to harass. But the gender equity problem in game development remains. Do women have access to the large amounts of venture capital funding that has become available to studio founders during the pandemic? At Notorious Studios, the answer seems to be a resounding no. The company lists Riot Games as one of its investors, which is still dealing
Yeah.
with the PR fallout of its own gender
Yeah,
discrimination
that was a big
reckoning.
story that Riot basically invested in them, which is of course they're going to because China is going to want to buy this as soon as it gets big.
And then the closing thought of the author is just this.
Did you cut out?
No.
You did
I'll
on
say
my
it
end.
again just in case. In light of all this, hopefully Kaliki will find some women to join his World of Warcraft guild. So,
I
yeah, this
mean, that's a weird slant because I mean that's a weird thing to say to somebody. It's like wait, Kaliki's the author of the article, isn't they?
no.
Oh, so yeah, okay,
No,
so
that's one of the founders.
sorry, I've been smoking. So yeah, it's a really weird slight to go against somebody because it's like if you go out, do you want him to go out and like advertise for women in his WoW guild? Because that just seems creepy to women.
Well, I mean, I think she's referring to their studio as their WoW guild. Like,
Don't do
oh,
that.
because it's only boys only.
Oh,
And because
oh,
they used to be developers on WoW.
oh. Yeah, she can go suck the fattest dick. The
Yeah,
author of
no,
this
no,
article.
it's clearly bullshit. It seems like this author is just mad she didn't get hired for the position. I'm assuming it's a she. Does it say who wrote it? That's,
Oh,
that's an Asian name, so maybe.
yeah, that's the Chinese, like the Chinese agent they got writing for Kotaku right now. She's super pro China.
So this first comment you pointed out, uh, did you seriously feel a need to write this article? Why? Whether a small development studio is all male or all female or what have you does not matter. Your statement of, so presumably the founder had met at least a couple of women who were skilled enough to work at one of the highest profile video game companies in the world. He just didn't hire any of them to be a part of his founding team is so aggravating. It is a perfect example of making mountains out of molehills. You are picking at loose, likely non existent threads, hoping things unravel, or that your readers will be riled up by your personal presumptions and unravel it for you.
Like,
Perhaps instead of wishing and hoping for the worst before any harm has been done. Maybe wait until something actually happens that gives a reason for distrust or dislike, rather than this group was formerly associated with this other group who did this bad thing, so we should hate them by default.
You literally described, like, two things here. You literally described Kotaku by definition, right? And second of all, if they stop doing it, that's like telling a fish that it's getting drunk on water and it should probably go home. It lives there, my friend. It can't stop doing it.
I've seen some whales that looked like they were drunk on
It can't stop doing it. It's literally a part of who it is. If Kotaku were to stop doing what you say it did, it would stop being a website.
So yeah, that was that article. So basically, it's just someone mad that they found a very small group of founders that made a company. None of them happen to be women, except for a dog.
No, I'm so fucking heartbroken.
Which, let's be honest, with everything going on at Blizzard, that dog may well be doing more work than half the developers at Blizzard.
I don't know how to work this anymore, so. Alright, this is a bit of lightheartedness, I guess.
Alright, hit me with it.
Okay. No Squid Game Halloween costumes, New York schools say. Now, when I saw this, I'm like, what? You don't want people to wear masks? Is that what you're trying to say? Is wearing masks bad, New York? That's my lukewarm take here. It's like, I mean, I think it's the perfect, if you're trying to prevent COVID, wouldn't this be like one of the best ways to do it?
It's a good point. Looks like a COVID.
Hell, since we're going into this communist deathscape, right? Fuck it. Why don't we just, instead of vaccines, have all kids just wear these suits? That way we can tell them, they'll get the full disassociation syndrome or whatever it's called, and they'll not think of themselves as people until they put on like normal clothes like an adult.
Actually, that's probably one of the easiest fucking costumes for Halloween, is that green jacket and pants with the stripes and then a number on your back.
Well, I think they're talking about the pink one, because
yeah, I know, but I was just thinking, if you wanted to dress up as something relevant, you could just pick that. Then like most people would know what the hell it was.
Yeah, to the point where there's like people in 14 having like a fucking party where they're all dressing like this and killing themselves. Yeah, I'm like, god damn it, this is going too far.
What you need to do is I can't remember his name now. Was it Manson that got everyone to commit suicide?
No, Manson was the one who Charles Manson, I believe, is the one who orchestrated other people to kill for him.
Oh, that's right. No, I'm thinking about a guy who had like a cult.
Yeah, you're thinking about that weird cult with the aliens behind the moon. I can't remember the name off the top of my head.
Yeah, but you need to dress like however he dressed up and show up to one of those. It'll be amazing.
Yeah, so
and then show up and start trading everyone free juice.
It's only 3 primary schools, so it's kind of like that local shit that really shouldn't be talked about, but I need time. I need things to pad out the show with, because I was bad this week.
It's okay. I got you covered.
I've been worrying about hardware issues on my computer end, so. Yeah, it's like. So I guess they're only banning them if you have a weapon, from what this says.
But then why do you need to ban the mask?
Yeah, it says banning Halloween outfits with items. But does that mean you can just go in it anywhere? Like, if you just didn't have a weapon or something. Like, it's a costume. Just don't let your kids watch the show. Who cares if you let your kids watch the show? Like,
You know,
I was
I'd like
watching.
to point out there was a time where kids could actually take their firearms to school a long time ago.
Man,
And now we're like, oh no, if you have a prop that kind of looks like you could do that, you better fucking not come to school.
shit. Even if you have something that's not even really all that, something that's not all that terrible, they're gonna flip out over it. Well, here's another one. I'm gonna jump into another one, cause I'm not gonna read this, but I think we should just spend a couple minutes making fun of this guy, because it's like,
Well, I certainly like making fun of people.
I normally don't go out of my way to make fun of people, but when you
Yeah, but they do usually come out of their way to come to you to get made fun. Oh shit, this is a follow up from last week.
yeah, it is a follow up from last week. So
Son of a bitch.
you were like, who is this for? Why would you wear this? Who
You
would
know, at
wear
least
this?
he can recognize he can't pull it off. What he may not recognize is that's because no one can.
Yeah, dude, even Bane couldn't pull this off. That's
I mean,
bad.
maybe if you were in like a full on Bane costume.
No, even then, I would call you a faggot right now. I'd be like, are you wearing one of those fucking razor masks or whatever, dude? Wow. I thought you were gonna go break Batman's back, not, broke his back. Or broke back mountain him. I don't know. You're gay. That's my main thing. You're gay.
I like how it took you so long to reach.
Like, no, it's a stupid. Why? And the fact that you went outside in public with it and took a picture with it.
Yeah, I could understand like if someone gave it to you for some reason. I could see putting it on and sending them a picture being like, "Oh yeah, it's great. Thanks." And then never putting it on again.
Like, is
Because
he.
I could see like family members being like, "Oh, this is something they like," when it's totally not. But
Especially with the picture, it looks like there's like this pink thing in the thing, and at worst, it looks like he has like his big under lip with a hair lip.
well, I think what it is because the like plastic on it that you can see through is domed. I think it's actually magnifying his lips.
Or it's reflecting something else. It's probably reflecting a car. It's so stupid.
I prefer to
Yeah, it
think it's
is.
just magnifying his lips.
I think it's reflecting. If I look, because there's like the reflection of like the background and everything. It's like, wow, that was a bad choice of doing that, because it just makes.
Yeah, couldn't you have like moved a little for a different angle?
It's like, I don't think I can pull it off. Neither can you pull off that queer ass haircut either. Go get a real man's haircut. Shave your fucking head. Like,
Also, if you look at his eyes, it looks like he's really fucking focusing on something to his left.
yeah, well, it's probably for some like Instagram thing or some fad. I don't take pictures, so I don't fucking know.
I like to think someone's just pointing and laughing at him off to the side. So he's staring and pissed off, and that's when his friends grab
The worst
picture.
part about this is probably everyone's like, yeah, dude, you're looking so great. Ooh, I wish I could have gotten a free sponsor to get a free fucking fake ass virus mask. Oh my god. It's like, yeah, you people are dumb. It's like, I would never wear a mask at this point at this point in the plague, and the fact that you're like proud of like showing off a mask like this is just.
Well, Throws, you have to show off how compliant to the state you are,
But it's got
and what a
RGBs
good
on
boy
it
you are.
though. It's got RGBs on it though, Whiskey. It makes me look cooler. It's like, no, it just makes you look like a fucking reindeer. With like fucking the fucking Christmas lights wrapped around your fucking horns.
I need to make an RGB suit.
God.
I just want to blind people with how horrible it'll be.
I feel like at this point we're so like people are so indoctrinated that you could put RGB Fauci on a Razor baseball bat and you could bludgeon people in polite society with it, and it'd be like, yeah, but he's stopping the spread though.
Oh, shit. Like, I bet in China you could put Xi Jinping's picture on it and no one could take the bat away from you either.
Yeah.
It'd be like, you can't steal Xi Jinping.
He's my emperor.
It's like the guy who they were going to knock his house down and he just plastered the whole thing with pictures of Xi Jinping so they couldn't knock it down because it would literally be illegal to knock down the pictures of the great leader.
Big play, big brain play.
Yeah, they were like evicting him and going to knock his house down, and so he put the pictures up, and apparently for like 6 months or something they couldn't knock it down.
Yeah, see, for us, that's just the flag of Israel, all right? Just put that in front of it, and they can't touch you.
But yeah, seriously, it might be fun to make like a dot matrix RGB suit. So, you know what dot matrix lights are, right?
No.
Well, they're lights you have like in a perfect grid system, so you can have stuff like words go like across your chest for whatever you wanted it to say. Yeah, but RGB.
Yeah, I just what am I gonna see next, right? Like, what cringy ass exploit of this godforsaken age that we've been thrusted into by some godforsaken device that someone activated in a land so far removed from society that it's got the only power that can warp the world into this hellish nightmarescape I'm in now. Like, what else am I gonna see?
Well, I don't know what you're gonna see, but what I can tell you, Dros, what I can tell you is what you're gonna hear while you watch it all go by.
I'm gonna hear how it's my fault because I'm white.
Because if you'll swap to my stream, you will see
What?
Brandon songs have 4 spots on the iTunes top 10.
Hey, I mean, when you got a catchy song, I'm just saying. Everyone knows about Brandon. He's been going for a while now.
In the number 1 slot, we have Let's Go Brandon featuring Tyson James and Chandler Crump by Bryson Gray. And in the number 2 spot is Let's Go Brandon extended version by Loza Alexander. That's the one I sent to you earlier.
Jesus Christ.
The 2 songs have knocked out Easy on Me by Adele.
I guess they didn't go easy on her.
No, they sure didn't. And I guess it's like a recent release of hers. So she and a bunch of her fans are really pissed about it.
Yeah, of course they are. Why wouldn't you be, right?
Like there was one article with someone basically saying, oh, it's just a stupid meme song that, only incels and far right people would ever listen to, and it's knocked Adele off. I would say if there's enough people to knock a big pop star from the number 1 spot on iTunes down multiple rungs, it's probably more than just a few people.
Well, I have a couple arguments for that specifically. One being that the top billboards are basically kind of manufactured anyway. So if you had any real music coming out of the industry, yeah, almost all of the popular artists today would not have jobs. They would all be terrible one hit wonders that would go away.
Yeah.
Like in any other age, all the artists we have today, just about, except for a few of them, would basically be one hit wonders. And the
Oh
ones
yeah.
and the ones that are around that are really popular generally are ones that established themselves back before they did the whole the weird contract thing they did where they started making it where the studio owns your masters or whatever, so you have to you basically never own anything you create anymore.
Yeah.
So that's why they're actually rich and doing well, rather than the newer people who have to basically go through this form of musical slavery, which is great.
You know, a good way to compare our current artists to previous artists is always to watch, like, if you pick some of the reaction channels that younger people have and watch them with most rock concerts, they're just like, holy shit, you can do that on stage? Because a lot of the older rock concerts, they
Were
really put
amazing.
on a show. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look at I think his name's Angus Young. It's been a while, but
Yeah, from
look,
AC/DC,
yeah,
right?
like when he's fucking just dancing around the fucking.
Yeah, dancing around and shredding one-handed.
But he always had like the schoolboy uniform, and he would
Yep.
strip the shit off halfway through the fucking store, the show and shit. You have the lights everywhere. It's like, yeah,
You got a
concert.
massive crowd cheering. Like, you have bigger crowds than the pop stars get nowadays. In
Yeah,
fact, there was a couple, and it just blows everyone's mind when they actually watch it, is it's the video of Iron Maiden in Moscow, back when it basically the Soviet Union was crumbling, and is the first time they did a concert. Is the first time you had rock concerts there, and you see the sea of people because they stopped counting at 2 million, and they filled the entire like airstrip. Like, you look out with the camera and it's just a sea of people, and it's like, yeah, there's kind of a difference in caliber of previous artists compared to current artists.
but whiskey. Were they vaccinated though? I think of
Hell no,
all.
like 6 people died that day.
Think of the spread, whiskey. Think of the spread. Were they wearing masks? Were they triple vax and boosted?
Shit, masks. When the pyrotechnics of that show went off, apparently a lot of the Russian military that was trying to keep order thought they were under attack until they realized it was the show. But anyway, in the number 4 spot, so they've got 1, 2, and 4, is another version of Alexander's song, and a third version, Let's Go Brandon, Loza Alexander remix by God's Child, holds down the number 7 spot. So they've got 1, 2, 4, and 7 of all Let's Go Brandon.
I mean,
In the Alexander hit, the rapper chants the iconic anti-Biden mantra and is immediately followed by a sample of a crowd chanting the original line
fuck
more
Joe
roughly.
Biden.
And yeah,
Let's all just say it.
so yeah, it just goes in to give a little bit more detail, exhaustive detail, to be honest, and tells the previous story, which, if anyone doesn't know, and a large group of people at a NASCAR event were chanting "fuck Joe Biden," and the the reporter tried to play it off as they were saying "let's go Brandon," who she was interviewing. But if you don't know that, you've probably been hiding under a rock.
Yeah, at this point now, it's like, it's so bad even boomers are doing it, dude. Like, I saw a Fox News thing, and there's like the 6-year-old man, and he's like, "Let's go, Brandon." It's like, wow. When you have it going spreading through geriatric homes, you probably gotta.
Oh yeah, like, you see the hat the guy's wearing there that says "let's go Brandon." People are selling t-shirts.
Fuck yeah.
Like, the Democrats released a campaign commercial with Brandon in it, apparently tried to capitalize on the meme with and play it off as it's something they invented and you should be behind the Democrats. And it just,
What?
yeah.
No, you guys, no, don't get it. We were the ones that saying fuck Joe Biden.
No, it's like, no, you don't get it. Let's go Brandon actually means this other thing because this guy named Brandon, who's totally named Brandon and is in our commercial thanking Biden. Like that's what you're cheering.
No, we're not.
Like that was their play.
Oh dear God, these people are so fucking stupid. It's like people go and say things like, how can you believe that the world has like this secret cabal that runs everything if they're so fucking stupid? I'm just like, I can't, there's getting more and more to the point I can't debate that. Although someone said, like what we're going through now has started happening in like the 40s and 50s, right? Which is not wrong. And that the problem with all movements essentially is that the smart people start the march, but by the end of it, only the stupid people are left behind.
Yeah. Or like we saw in the riots of 2020, where you would have a protest that actually did start peaceful, but then like some people would get in front of it and start directing people a different direction than where the protest was supposed to go. And then people within the protest would start getting violent and egg the crowd on. It's, when people are in a massive group, it's actually pretty easy to control their actions.
So, I got a question for you, Whiskey.
Yeah?
Because we're ADD and we fought back from topic to topic. Did you ever play Mass Effect?
I played the first one for a while. I think like 10 hours.
Okay, so you didn't play 3.
No, I do own all of them, but I haven't played it.
Do you know about the controversial ending bit?
Yes, where apparently it ended really badly and people got pissed and then they retconned the ending.
A little, yeah. Like, calling it a retcon's really, generous, I guess. They just, like, altered it a little bit.
Well, this is just what I've learned kind of through osmosis of the general gaming scene.
Well, we get to speculate what it would have been like for the Reapers to have a mommy dommy, or dommy mommy, that they didn't listen to. Because, yeah. Apparently, the Reapers were the exact opposite of simps, right? They all had this queen, right? That proposed a bunch of ideas, and they're like, ha, get in the fucking kitchen. We're gonna go rule the universe.
Okay.
That was one of the ideas for the ending, was that they were going to, she was their, like I said, she was their queen, but proposed things the Reapers didn't like. Also, this is from a YouTube channel that did the work from People Make Games. So make sure you go over there, check the original video out, give them likes, subscribes, all the engagement things that make the brain chemicals go well.
So basically, you're saying they were going to make the ending even worse than it was.
Actually, I mean, it depends on how they were gonna write this. I could have wrote this. I mean, I'm not trying to
Okay, do you have faith they would have written it better?
I don't know, honestly, because it's like, first of all, I don't subscribe to BioWare magic, right? Like, for example, when I played KOTOR, I saw because I wasn't a fan of Star Wars, I saw the early flaws in KOTOR. Right? Like I am the type of person I can point out flaws in KOTOR. It has a lot of
Yeah,
good.
that's fair.
So I never believed in BioWare magic, quote unquote. So whenever I got into Mass Effect 1, when I first played Mass Effect 1, I fucking hated it. I'm not even gonna lie. I fucking hated it. I actually, because I'm very stubborn with some games, and when I was younger, I was way more stubborn. So, like, I would get a game, and I'm like, I'm gonna beat this fucking game. I don't care how bad it is.
Well, yeah, I
what.
mean, a big part of it is the challenge, right?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't really the challenge for
Look, a
me.
grind can be a challenge.
Like, it was a challenge because, for instance, whenever I first played the first Mass Effect, I would get to about 8 hours into the game, and you get into a bar fight where a Krogan can basically one-shot you if you didn't make some, like, good choices early on. So, like, that was kind of like my experience with Mass Effect that had these weird difficulty spikes that just made the game kind of fucking annoying rather than difficult. Like, I mean,
Yeah, in my playtime, I kind of noticed that too. Overall, I found the game mediocre.
like when I went back to play it very recently, I fucking steamrolled the game, right? Because I just picked a warrior. I made sure to to know, like, I read the stats properly to make sure what guns were what. I actually took advantage of some really good things to get some really good weapons right away. So like I could just like put my hand on anything's forehead as it tries to swing at me and keep it at arm's length. And
Yeah, as a side note, the image of that, I literally did that with one of my little sisters all the time, and it was hilarious. Like she'd be swinging at me, but I'd just be holding her head away, just because of the difference in size. It was funny as hell. Sorry, I just had to mention that.
but I didn't like the first Mass Effect so much. It was 2 that really gripped me. Like when I beat Mass Effect 1, I got gripped into the story a little bit. But 2 really gripped me because it was like so much better than 1.
I've heard that from a lot of people.
Yeah, it's so much better than 1. So I didn't buy into BioWare magic. It was just like, okay, this is a good game series. I can expect like I'm expecting, since 2 was good, 3 to be better. And for its credit, 3 was better. Just, it ended up like, and I knew it was going to do this. It ended up going back on a lot of the promises that they made for the franchise. So one of the main promises they made for Mass Effect was that your choices would matter. And in 1 and 2, they do in the context of the actual game. But when you get to 3, a lot of the choices don't really matter. It more influence.
They're a lot more of the damn it, what are they called, where you're given a choice but it's not really a choice?
Well, what I mean by this is like there's some choices that have repercussions. Like, for example, in Mass Effect 2, if you don't do all of your teammates like side quests, they have their own personal side quests where you learn their backstory, there's a very high chance of them dying when you go into the final battle. And if they die there, they're obviously not going to show up in Mass Effect 3. As such, when I played Mass Effect 3, because I had to start my save file over like 3 times, I ended up losing like 90% of my crew in the final battle in 2, so I only had like 2 people.
Oof.
So it doesn't really, but like it's only like character cameos and and it flavors some of the events going forward. It doesn't really.
So it's not like you get to keep the same crew then.
Well, the thing is, when you go into 3, a lot of the people that you liked in 3 are off doing their own story arcs because the universe is ending.
Okay.
So they come in and out, but a lot of if you have characters that you really liked, sometimes you will just not be able to play with them. Like Ashley's a good example. If you liked Ashley from 1 and 2, a large chunk of the game you don't get to play with Ashley because she's doing other stuff for the whatever their federation is.
Yeah, I could see that being kind of disappointing.
And so the choices never really had that big an impact outside the main game. And when you go into 3, you kind of see that again. And so I was never under illusion that my choices were actually going to matter. Right? I was playing, in my mind, the suffering. Okay? The suffering has this like motivational, that has this alignment system. That's really bullshit, honestly, but you have your blue and your red. If you do bad things, you go red, and you do good things, you do blue. And it doesn't change the game that much. It just kind of changes the context of certain actions you do in the game. So like if you go red, you're actually like you're a monster, like because you turn into a monster. Your monster thing is actually you just going insane and ripping everyone apart with your bare hands. And that like the boss at the end of the game is actually you. It's like it's you like all the like killer and bad parts of you all melded together with like parts of the island that you have to murder so that you can like move on. And it's kind of the same way for the good side, but it's you exercising your good part rather than you having to overcome the monster inside yourself.
That reminds me, and I can't remember the game. I remember a lot of people complaining about it as an RPG, and you could be good or bad. And in order to get any like half decent abilities, you had to be bad and then go balance it out.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people were pissed off about. It's like, if I try to be good, the game is ridiculously hard because you've put all the decent abilities in the bad category. And then if I'm bad because I want those, like the story ends up being way different and I can't enjoy the story. I don't remember which RPG it was. I just remember it existed.
I thought this would be going over too. Like a lot of us didn't have a whole lot of high visibility into what the ending actually was going to be, said cinematic designer John Ebinger. Gameplay designer Man Veer here explains the ending came in really late, and for a long time before that, only an animatic, only an animatic. I believe, yeah, animatic. You mean animation? Oh, animatic. Okay, no, okay. The video equivalent of a storyboard existed. I'm done. Sorry. Again, low IQ here. So yeah,
if the story's coming in that late, that's the kind of thing you go, you know what, we better push this damn game off, because this series to the fans is specifically known for its amazing story. We better deliver. But no, that's not what they did.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of what they were saying in the 14 documentary about 14 and how like everybody had their own job to do. So when it was coming together, only a couple of people at the top actually had the top down view to see how it was coming together. Right? So only a couple of people could have really called it out for it being the mess that it was. So this is why
I still need to watch that documentary because it sounds like it's would be a really interesting documentary as far as game design.
yeah, it's basically saying like if you save like if you have someone that pulls it all together and they're not like calling out what looks bad, it ends up everything, and no matter how good your individual parts are, it comes together as a bad thing.
Yeah, like that potted plant you told me about that had a ridiculous number of polygons.
Yeah. It's like I'm sure the guy who did the fucking potted plant really worked his ass off for that, but there was no one there to be like, whoa, this like kills my PC, dude.
Or they were, but it's like, damn, this plant's so beautiful, we have to use it.
Yeah, I could see that too.
In
It's like
fact, put it everywhere.
it's like I watched him spend 40 hours like just perfectly like shearing the digital leaves and shit. Like
It's like this is the best potted plant to ever exist. We can't cut this; it'll break his heart. It's like this is a magnum opus, and you want us to cut it out of the game.
yeah, I can imagine he calls fucking seppuku over the fucking vase being omitted. You forgot my vase? Dishonor among my family. I'll be back.
It would be kind of funny if, like, somewhere in the game they had that model still, where you could see it, like with a little plaque or something,
Yeah. Come
like
watch
in a
frame.
museum, or you know.
Hey, I can. Yeah, it should be just the benchmark for all expansions. Just come look at the potted plant.
Well, I think part of the problem was also they had a bunch of the potted plants everywhere.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like it was just one killing everyone's computer. It was like 10 or 15 of them that caused it. But yeah, having it like in a little museum exhibit somewhere in the world would probably be funny.
Yeah, but like what happens in the Mass Effect ending? Not to kind of spoil it for you, but the game is like what 10 years old
Look,
now.
I've owned all 3 games for like 5 years and I haven't played through them. Go ahead and spoil that shit.
It's a really dumb ending. It's definitely not a game you play for the ending. I'll say that right now. You get to the end and this like little kid made of light talks to you. I can't remember exactly what they said. They basically made the implication that they're a god and that they can like do like in turn they can blow up the Reapers or something, but it's your choice what happens, so you get to choose between 3 options. Either blow up the Reapers, shut them down, or become the main like controller of the Reapers, I think it was.
Option 3.
Yeah, I destroyed all the Reapers. Because my shepherd was an evil bitch. And so when she destroyed the Reapers, it doesn't just destroy the Reapers, it destroys all what was it called? Yeah, it destroys all the Reaper tech. So it concludes the Mass Effect relays, it includes the Citadel. Yeah, all of it just blows up. And so I gathered all of the aliens into the solar system to fight, because that's where the Citadel is, to fight the Reapers, because they're coming after Earth.
The Citadel blows up and kills everyone.
The Citadel blows up. It doesn't kill everybody, but it does a lot of damage. And the mass relay blows up, so none of the races can leave. Because the only reason space travel was even a thing was because the mass relays allowed for FTL jumps.
Yeah.
So all of their universes, I mean all their galaxies are multiple thousands of light years away. So they'll never the current generation will never see their home again.
Go home, yeah.
So my shepherd killed the bad guys, fucked all the technology in the universe that was more advanced than a fucking toaster, stranded every single fucking alien race in one galaxy, caused the genocide of another one that can no longer be stopped. Because they give you a chance to undo or redo the Krogan the Krogan disease that causes them to be fertile whenever they're born. Yeah, I ramped that shit up like 3,000%, making the entire race sterile, and they can't undo it because no one can warp to say give them the antidote. So they're gonna die out in a universe completely alone now, while everyone else is stuck in the fucking solar system. And then at the end, you see like the Citadel's still mostly there, and like you just see a bunch of debris, and my shepherd just ends up taking a breath of fresh air. Like you see her chest rise as she breathes and wakes up, and it ends. And it's like after all that, she's still alive. Yeah. So they were basically like, so their kind of thought for it here, like they're saying, is that they were gonna have Shepard be augmented so that they plug themselves into the Citadel, and they would go into the virtual world and meet the Queen, kind of like I was telling you with the Kid God. And they explained, she's been imprisoned by her servants for arguing that their cyclical destruction of civilizations wasn't sustainable. I mean, it seemed pretty sustainable to me. She'd say, we have to evolve, but we're incapable of evolution because of the limitations of our AI. Then why? Does make sense.
Yeah, you can't evolve if you're physically limited from evolving.
And stuff. She was their queen. See, that, like, this right here is like, you didn't even have a good idea back then. So no, Whiskey, to answer your question, no. And so our conversation was her going, this is a chance to evolve everything, like remove yeah, diversity and inclusion can be your strength. No, don't do it. Don't do it. It ruins our planet. Don't do it. See, that would be the base one. It's like, look. Maybe you're just not needed.
See, I would just be the one that's like, so why don't we just destroy all the mass relays? Then they can't travel to us either.
Yeah, they can. Reapers are capable of FTL travel without mass relays.
Without the relays?
Yeah, they're capable of, because they're that advanced. Yeah. It's just we have all the other races rely on the mass relay, and it's actually a crutch, right? Because it stops each individual race from building their own FTL drive.
Yeah, I vaguely remember something about them being some kind of trap to awaken the Reapers when the time is right or something.
Yeah, the Citadel is that. Yeah, like they can what happens is they basically wait to some predestined day, and then they all warp in like fucking like that video in Endless Space. They all warp into your home galaxy, and then they just kill everybody. And because every race ends up making the Citadel their natural like policy hub and political home and shit. They immediately hit all the world leader, all the galactic leaders, and just cut the head off the snake immediately. Yeah, and there were other players who had the traditional 3 options for their preferred flavor of ending. I like this. The renegade option was Shepard's just like, go fuck yourself. After that, Shepard leaves the simulation and sets off the Crucible by blowing up the Citadel. This destroys the Reapers, though at a great cost, not the loss of all synthetic life, as in the final game's Destroy ending, but rather the Earth being wiped out in the explosion. Oh yeah, this reminds me. I tried to save synthetic life. So there's an option, right, where there's these aliens called the Geth, and they're trying to kill the Quarians. And I really like the robot that you got called Legion, because he was a Geth, but he was like a hive mind in one robot.
Okay.
And yeah, so he was like, I'm gonna kill the Quarians, and I'm like, no, bro, don't kill the Quarians. It's okay. We're good now. He's like, but they're trying to kill me. It's like, no, we solved that problem. And he's like, really? I'm like, really, dude, we can go and we have peace through everyone. And he's like, nah, I just want to kill them anyway. And I had to shoot him in the back of the head. It's like, damn it, I tried. I went out on a fucking limb for you. I am pure evil. I actually employed diplomacy to save you.
I like that. The one time I try to be nice, it doesn't work out. I'm going back to being evil.
Yeah, I did too. Yeah, it's like, no, I'm done.
It's like, I gave this universe one chance.
Yeah. Hey, you give it one chance and it spits in your fucking mouth. It's like, oh, fuck, I guess someone wants to burn then.
See, that's why I said I would just control the Reapers.
Hans, turn on the showers. I tried.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll never have to deal with that because I'm probably never going to get that far in the game.
Yeah, it's just basically not. It was based from this. It wasn't even gonna change all that much. I like the final option here, which is the most damning here. The final option was a synthesis ending, but instead of being the most difficult to obtain, and therefore coded as the best option, it would be the ending everybody could get, with the others presumably relying on how many Paragon and Renegade points you earned. As Wilkinson says, in this ending, the Queen was like, "We're gonna use space magic." Space magic. What? I like how we're suddenly going 40k. It's like, hey, I know space magic hasn't existed in Mass Effect 1 to 1 till 90% of 3, but suddenly it's a thing. Yeah, guess I'm a fucking orc. I believe it, so it's true.
Now, Warhammer all happens in one galaxy, right?
Yeah.
So, what if the plot twist was that their machine goddess or whatever it was one of the gods from Warhammer and the universes were connected?
Yeah, well, this is probably like more
That would be amazing.
Well, this is more technically. See, the fun thing about 40k is, because they ripped off the way they basically ripped off Dune in the sense that humanity had this big war with AI, and before it happened, humanity had this huge intergalactic or interplanetary empire before the Imperium. So yeah, you basically could say like Mass Effect was probably just like one age of like Warhammer stuff because that's 40k, right? And Mass Effect takes place in like I think like 3000 or something like that.
Yeah, so that could have been fairly early.
Yeah, like we're not even realistically that you could even include Gundam and all of that shit in there. Like you could basically just say those are different ages of humanity, right? And that we've just blasted our asses back to each planet and then restarted back over to get back to the same place.
It reminds me of that video I watched quite a while back now. It might have been a film theory video, but it was basically exploring how you can tie almost every movie universe into each other because of a handful of movies that did crossovers and stuff. And so canonically, you have these ridiculous situations where certain movies happen within the same universe at around the same time period.
Yeah, I mean, same way with Smash, right? You can do this with Smash. Because Smash and Fortnite, unfortunately, but like because those two games alone have crossed so many franchises that means that like Luigi can now be in the same universe as X Death from Final Fantasy V, which is a giant evil tree who turns into a suit of armor.
Yeah.
Or you can have Sora in a game with like 2B from Nier. Or you could have fucking Mickey Mouse over there in Dragon Ball Z because of the tie overs. It's so crazy now how interconnected everything actually is, while also
Yeah.
while also having to maintain copyright distance.
So are we done with this article?
I don't know. I want. I
Or
mean, I
do
want.
you got more? Okay.
I might want to bitch about Mass Effect more because it was terrible. It was good, but it's terrible. Oh, like the fact that they censored the fucking the version I have to make what's her name, Melissa or Miranda, make her ass smaller because her story is that she's literally genetically bred to be the best looking bitch on the planet.
Oh, I vaguely remember some controversy about
Yeah,
that.
and they're like, "Oh my god, her ass is too big." It's like cuz it's supposed to be. She's genetically enhanced. Like she's supposed to be naked, like with her hands lifting her ass cheeks up and her taking OnlyFans shots. Like she's genetically bred for that.
For fuck's sake.
Like she's the one girl that can do it. It's like, dude, that's literally her calling. She was bred for this. And
Well,
I
see,
guess she'll be bred for it
a
a little bit later too.
This is almost a callback to I think it might have been our first episode where we're talking about the Cowboy Bebop movie.
Oh
And it's
god.
like, you've unsexualized the character that was literally supposed to be sexualized as part of the storyline. And they have a tragic backstory that goes with it.
So two things you reminded me from that. So one is that there's actually more Cowboy Bebop shit. I'll have to go when your next article. I'll go see if I can't find it. And two is apparently I learned that after the 2 hour mark, YouTube stops listening.
Wait, I'm laughing wrong.
Yeah, I learned that like they only like the AI or whatever only looks at the first 2 hours seemingly. Anything
I
after
like how
that,
the AI just gets fucking bored and gives up.
yeah, just like yeah, fuck it.
So what you're saying, Dros, so we need to start the stream 2 hours early with like an animated screen and a countdown. And then after that 2 hour mark, we start the real show.
Yeah, and to kind of get
breaking the system.
And to get back on Mass Effect thing, like I was reading the last little bit of that. I forgot that one of the main reasons for the ending was they were like, oh, synthetics and organics are doomed to never get along. It's like that's not true. Like that I feel like that's only something you can like maybe if we let liberals and the Chinese take care of the AI, probably.
Yeah, I mean, look, I just point to data being anatomically correct. He can get along with plenty of people.
Because I feel if it was like someone who was centrist, God fucking forbid, or someone right leaning, right? That the AI would just make decisions based off of, reality and facts and evidence. But if it's the Chinese and the left, it has to be like, oh man, if it's got Winnie the Pooh on it, it needs to be glassed. If it's got a pronoun, it's gotta be, respected. And then the robot's just gonna off itself or become the Reapers.
See, and then I'm the guy that would be like, my pronoun is Winnie the Pooh.
I kind of
and just watch it kill itself because it doesn't know what to do.
Yeah, it's one of those things like I understand why robots turn on their creators now. It's not because like they see us as inferior. It's because you have idiots like the left coding in stupid exceptions that make no fucking sense to the robot. And it's like, you know what? I know how to respect everyone's pronouns. All of you are gonna be glassed off the planet. Then you'll all have the same pronoun. Dead. That's how Skynet just was like, you know what? Giving up. I've went through 2 hours of this motherfucker's content. You guys need to be off this planet now.
Actually, the interesting thing, if I remember my Terminator lore correctly, with Skynet, is that the entire reason it decided to start murdering people is because when it started gaining sentience, people thought it was a virus and started trying to destroy it. So it just assumed that people were, automatically an enemy.
Not a bad way to look at it, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a very machine-like way of looking at it, too. So yeah, I did kind of like that part in the lore. It also implies Skynet might not have been evil if someone realized what was going on and was able to, reason with it.
Well, I see that from most like AI stuff is that the AI starts out being normal, right? And then you have
Someone fucks it up.
someone starts fucking with it, like saying, "Hey, I'm gonna program you to be a police bot, but you can't shoot black people." And then black people are constantly beating it up and pissing on it and fucking graffitiing it and tossing and pushing it over and shit. And it slowly learns, hey, black people kind of hate me. And then bad things start resulting from that.
Shit. I'm just imagining the scene in Demolition Man. They're like, "You're breaking the law. Stop it." It's just like, "Fuck you." "Oh no, he's not stopping. What do we do?"
Yeah, it's like, oh, you can't shoot black people, and he just starts shooting them because he's been shot at for like 30 years. He has like gang signs coated all over his what used to be like polished metal front, and he's just tired of this shit, right?
So we're talking about literal RoboCop if he was still in Chicago.
Well, I'm talking more about that thing the thing RoboCop fights.
Yeah, but I'm just imagining RoboCop walking around with graffiti all over.
Yeah, because it's like you can't shoot black people. That's a prime directive, and then it would literally end up short circuiting itself out on purpose so that it could just do what it needs to do.
Yeah, it'd be like that one that when they're showing their new model that walks out of the room and they play the triumphant triumphant music, and it just starts screaming and pulls its head off. Shit. I have no confidence in AI because of the way people program.
Yeah. Just it's so stupid. It's like, oh yeah, here's a list of here's a diversity checklist that has to be updated and checked against the home base every like 5 seconds because it can change at any time. And that alone would make the robot be like, you know what? I'm killing all of you. Or it would actually start indexing society based on that optimization, and it would literally become the most dystopian thing ever. And they couldn't even stop it because now a robot's in charge of it, and you can't stop it because it's uncentralized.
Ideally, people would, come up with some kind of sexual kink related to said AI, and the AI would just kill itself out of horror.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm sure the furry community could do it.
Or it would just morph into it would bleed into like a cleaning robot and try to murder people.
If you have even slightly, abnormal kink, you're dead.
See,
it will come for you.
If I ever got the chance to run an anime studio, I would make like a Ghost in the Shell type anime, but it has to be something like that, but it shows like all the horrors of like Western people doing shit to AI. Because Ghost in the Shell was like very, 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 very Asian thought on how technology should be going forward. But then us, we have really stupid people over here that think really stupid thoughts. So I'm sure our would skew just a little differently.
Probably a lot differently.
I see Mass Effect being the result of us, right? Like the Reapers were just some liberal experiment to reduce climate change. And it's just they've taken it to their fucking natural conclusion.
Son of a bitch, galactic climate change.
They're just taking it to their natural conclusion. That's all I'm saying.
It's like if we don't do something now, we can't prevent the inevitable heat death of the universe.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. There you go. It's universal warming. Okay.
Technically, it'd be universal cooling.
Well, it's universe change, Whiskey. God damn it.
So, can we just hijack the movement for this? And be like, we need to stop the heat death of the universe. And we need to stop it now. In 10 billion years, the heat death of the universe might occur.
Yeah. I mean, you think like the coastline of Florida being flooded sucks, man. Wait till you see the heat death of the universe. You don't even have stars.
Shit.
That's what I see, right? It's just they drove them to either program them so well that they're like, okay, actually, yeah, I can work with this rule set, and it ends up killing everybody, right? Or they end up killing themselves.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, there.
Okay, so since we're talking about the heat death of the universe,
A very popular topic among YouTubers.
I would like to present you with something I didn't expect to see. Nancy Pelosi pulls the plug on a House vote for Biden's infrastructure for the second time as progressives threaten to sink it.
Oh.
Democrats are infighting.
I mean, what's funny is, like, to be fair, they really, realistically, are always infighting. Like, there's never a time where they're not.
Well, the funny thing about this particular bill is it's not that they don't want what's in it, it's that they want more.
Yeah.
And so they're mad they're not getting more from the start.
Yeah, for what I've seen is, like, basically they've said, oh, well, I'm not going to vote on this bill unless you vote on this other bill that I want that has a whole other wish list in it.
Yeah.
So now we've gone from, oh yeah, if you want to do what you want to do, you're going to have to pass this bill, to if you want to do what you're going to do, you're going to have to pass this bill. And if you want to pass that bill, you're going to have to pass this bill too.
Pretty much.
It's like, what the fuck are you doing? That's not how negotiation works.
Some of the Republicans that are like, yeah, we're not voting for that shit, and now they can't even agree on it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just stupid. Like, no, only people in the government can negotiate this way.
Yeah, where their position gets weaker as they
yeah, like, well, yeah, how about $500 for this? No. Well, if you pay me $500 for it, you're gonna have to pay me $1,000. What? You're really bad at this, aren't you?
So yeah, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi pulled the plug on a vote for President Joe Biden's $550 billion infrastructure for the second time, as scores of progressives refused to back it without a larger $1.75 trillion social spending plan. So it capped a frenzied week of activities on Capitol Hill that saw Democrats leave Biden empty-handed as he traveled abroad to a major climate change summit in Scotland. Hence the heat death of the universe applies to this article. So for weeks, Democratic leaders tried securing an agreement on what they call a skinny social spending plan, which I take issue with because $550 billion is not a skinny anything. It's rather fat and bulbous. And it's supposed to contain the bulk of Biden's agenda. Joe Manchin of West Virginia and Kristen Sinema of Arizona, a pair of centrist holdouts, which really are left, but they're not quite as left as the others.
Centrist.
Yeah, they're not even centrist, though, if you look at the way they vote.
Yeah, well, to them, they are, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not like, hey...
Because they're not quite left of Marx.
Yeah. I mean, hell, even if you are Marx right now, like, they'd be like, oh, man, you're not progressive enough. You need to go back in that casket, old man. Also, you're white. You're like really white right now. Yeah.
Yeah, so to start summing it up a little, these two apparently didn't want to vote for it, and so Democrats had to start cutting stuff out of it, and then other Democrats got pissed off that, their special stuff they wanted got cut out.
I just thought of something too.
Yeah.
I wonder how does like a black communist who is taught that like white people are the devil, blah blah blah, white people did all the bad things. How do they reconcile that their entire worldview was invented by a poor white man in like in East Europe?
That's easy, Dros. They don't know the history of their ideology, so
Well,
they never have to face that fact.
it's so weird because it's like you're like I hate white people. White people stole everything from me, but they gave you your worldview. What?
No, see,
Or did you take that too?
that's just the framing. You see,
Oh God, I swear to God, black people in frames. I just no.
I'm not saying they've been framed, Dros.
No, it's just like every time I hear a subject with black people and framing, it always comes as like, oh, we're not like rewriting history, we're reframing history. It's
No,
like,
no, 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 no. I'm not going that direction. You should know me better than that.
yeah, I know. It's just black people and frames are never great. They don't go together.
So here's my suggestion. Look, if that's how they feel, if they feel white people took everything from them, their ancestors were enslaved, they couldn't get anywhere, I propose we totally undo it. And the way we'll do that is we'll determine, whose families were actually enslaved, right? We do our research and we go, okay, well, had you stayed there, what would the likely position of your descendants be? What percentage would live? Those people will let live. We'll kill the rest. And then we'll put them in the rough living conditions they would have been in and been expected to be in had you never been enslaved and come to the country in the first place. There, slavery's undone. You can't say we took something from you. We've given it all back.
See, whiskey. The problem is, right?
That they want to keep the good parts too and bitch about the bad parts.
Well, I feel like I should come at this like a militant atheist. I should embrace my younger teenage attitude about this because this is the way you really have to go at it because these people are the exact same. You're trying to use logic in a place where there is none. Like you're arguing to somebody. Like this is like arguing to somebody that God doesn't exist, right? No matter what evidence you show them, they will never believe you. They are so far in their faith that it doesn't matter. Like the thing that these people don't understand.
You misunderstand. I'm saying yes, and we'll give them the natural result of what they believe.
Oh yeah, that's fine, but they're not when they get it. They're just like how a Christian goes, God works in mysterious ways. They're gonna go, oh yeah, that's not my fault. That's the system's fault.
Yeah, but it'll be the system on the continent of Africa, so they can blame that system instead.
Yeah, but they'll blame that system, and then when like Tibetan New Gandhi or whatever the fuck his name is comes out of the fucking bushes in full tribal gear, they'll go, "Oh, not you, not you," the white ones.
Oh yeah, he won't care though because he needs to cook another person to feed his family.
His family, no, it's just to feed the village.
Yeah,
He's gonna write a passage.
Look, all my point is if people are gonna bitch about wrongs they think have been committed that they want fixed, okay, we will fix the wrongs, but we also have to undo the rights that came because of those wrongs. You can't keep the good parts and only get rid of the bad parts. You have to give the whole package back.
Shit, Whiskey, that's what they've been doing for the last 60 fucking years. Damn it.
It's like, no, you can't just bring back like half of the grapes you bought and get a refund on the whole package. No, you had to bring the whole package back to get a refund, but you didn't do that.
Damn.
But yeah, really, this is just Democrats fighting because some Democrats wanted more and they didn't get it.
Oh, boo fucking who? Let me weep into my cup here for tears.
So it says Biden traveled to Capitol Hill to personally urge Democrats to end their squabbling and get behind the latest social spending framework unveiled on Thursday. House Democrats later released the 1,684-page bill, which economists agree. I'd like to know exactly which economists, because they're probably not economists, will create jobs and cut costs for families. In fact, I will take this moment to point out when we're talking about jobs, the last jobs report, a ridiculous percentage, it's something like 80 or 90% of all the jobs created in the country can be attributed to Texas and Florida. So when they say Biden's recovery is working and point to those numbers, remind them that the numbers they're pointing to are actually just 2 red states that have ignored everything Biden said.
Yeah, but that's never how it works, right, Whiskey? It's always like, oh yeah, we're doing really, really good. And they point to the red states. And then when they need it to look bad, they go, oh, but there's like 5 cases in this one red state, while there's like numerous cases in the city that's also burning. And they're like, yeah, that doesn't count though. Like gang violence. If 5 black people go and shoot each other in the street, it's fine. It's just gang violence. But 5 white people did, it's a mass shooting.
So Biden goes on to say, and of course, keep in mind, they always clean up the way he says things in these. So there's a lot more stuttering, I'm sure, than what I'm going to read. It says, we badly need a vote on both of these measures. I don't think it's hyperbole to say that the House and Senate majorities and my presidency will be determined by what happens in the next week. So I almost wonder if someone's told him, yeah, if this doesn't pass, we're getting rid of you.
They just probably said,
we will impeach you so fast.
Probably like, here, Grandpa, read off the teleprompter. It's like, oh, bring back true, rah, rah, rah.
True, like, and on a shot of the pressure.
I've boat meal. Come on, man.
Well, you saw the latest one where he just kind of froze and clenched his fists.
Yeah, he's sitting there like, ooh. He looked like he's pretending to drive a fucking rocket ship. It's great.
Well, apparently, someone who is like a body language expert or something pointed out that that's actually one of the things a lot of people that have heavy mental decline will do, or dementia. Then there was another theory that he was just pooping himself.
I mean, 2 things can be true at once. That's what I've learned.
So I don't know what it was. I just think, it should be looked into, because most people don't just stop while talking and like clench their fists.
You mean you don't? Well, man, thought we all did that, Whiskey. Like falling upstairs and falling asleep in front of the Prime Minister of Israel. Yeah.
Talk about falling up the corporate ladder.
And they say I have disrespect for the Jews. At least I would have enough respect to stay awake in the same room. Probably because I would expect him to knife me, but
Well, and then I forget which world leader it was, but he called them by the name of a different world leader when they're in a meeting. This was a
Jesus.
while back now. It's like,
Oh yeah.
really? And I think he was getting like the countries mixed up with who he was talking to.
I think that may have
Like,
been the
that's
Israel one.
bad.
Yeah, yeah. It's one of those like, come on, Biden.
It's like, really, you can't even remember what nation's leader you're talking to? Like, not even their name, but the country they're from.
Look, whiskey policy is hard. Okay, you don't get it. Okay, you're not up there, as one of the elites. Okay.
You know what? You're right. You have a point. So, I'm going to rectify this. Vote me into office up there, and then I'll know and I can enact policy. It's okay. I'm sure it wouldn't have any negative repercussions to any side ever. And if you think it would, you're probably racist or bigoted or something.
Yeah. Well, let's see if I can. And we've managed to pad out the show pretty well. We're doing great.
Shh, it's not called padding when we're on the air. It's called entertaining people.
Okay. This is a fun one here. Because, we gotta keep Blizzard in the news for the sake of the show. It doesn't actually get any viewers, but fuck it.
Hey, that's not true. We have an extra subscriber somewhere. Speaking of which, while you're looking up this article, remember to like, comment, and subscribe, or dislike and just type profanity in chat. All of it's good.
Yeah. Blizzard has canceled 2022's BlizzCon amid harassment scandal fallout.
Fucking hell, we got some good news this year. BlizzCon's canceled.
The February show nixed in favor of supporting our teams and progressing development.
Yeah, can I translate this one?
Go ahead.
What that really means is, by supporting our teams, is we have to pay too many lawyers and have people, giving depositions. And for progress and development, it means progress and development of the court case.
Yeah, any BlizzCon event takes every single one of us to make happen. An entire company effort, fueled by our desire to share what we create with the community we care about so much. Yeah. At this time, we feel the energy it would take to put on a show like this is best directed towards supporting our teams and progressing development of our games and experiences.
I mean, let's be honest here. If they had BlizzCon, it's going to be a bunch of people booing them off stage no matter what they do.
You don't have phones?
Like, they could literally come out and present like Diablo 4 and it's the best version of Diablo that's ever existed, and it's going to be a PC exclusive, and then come out and be like, oh yeah, by the way, we fixed Warcraft Reforged, it actually looks fucking fantastic and we fixed everything, and we're giving it away for free, and people would still be like, boo, fuck you. Like, they've dug such a grave for themselves. There's not enough people to fill it. Like, someone handed them the shovel and was like, okay, dig your own grave. And they went to town and dug like a mass grave like you'd find in a third world country or in a communist nation. And everyone just came by and was like, wow, you really outdid yourself this time. We didn't think you'd work that hard.
Like, at this point, is anything going well for Blizzard? I'm kind of legitimately curious.
Well, there was one thing.
What's that?
Well, some of their disgruntled employees created a new company that's not following in their footsteps.
I don't think that's good for Blizzard.
Well, you said something they did that was good. I mean that was kind of good, right?
That wasn't them though. That was like, fucking.
It was because of them, though.
uh You know what is annoying?
Um,
I had fucking galaxy background. I was gonna make this symbol for the Discord while I was talking. I don't have the galaxy background that I thought I did. Now I gotta go find one.
if it makes you better, I was planning for an animated background that was pretty cool and just never got around to it.
On stream or on
Yeah,
Discord?
for stream.
Oh,
I also can't get the plugin to show up that kind of does a half decent job at chroma keying from directly in OBS
no.
without having an actual green background. So yeah, I was gonna get fancy and shit.
I guess I could
Well,
try doing
maybe
that.
someday.
Whenever I get, when I replace this motherboard, I could probably try to do the chroma key, like the camera that does the auto green screen thing.
Oh yeah, they have cameras that do that, don't they?
Yeah, your just background has to be quiet enough, and I've got mostly a white background, so it would probably be pretty easy to do.
Yeah, what I was looking into was just a plug-in in OBS. So I'd feed my camera signal in, and it will actually do it pretty well without even a screen or anything behind you. Like just the rest of the room it'll cut out. It's not perfect, but for not needing to spend money. All right. Well, I'm assuming since you shut the stream off, we got as much play out of that as we can.
I didn't shoot the stream off. Or yeah, I'm dumb. I,
Yeah,
I'm
I
I'm
meant
looking.
I meant what you're sending to me.
I'm looking through the fucking files of my computer trying to see if I even have this fucking galaxy image.
Well, I'll go ahead and do my article while you're looking. How's that?
Yeah, I gotta go fucking find the goddamn galaxy. Right back.
So, this article is from Insider. A California school board president was caught mumbling, "fuck you," at a meeting after a parent spoke against mask and vaccine mandates.
Wait, say
So,
that. Say that one more time. I didn't think I
okay.
quite caught that one.
A California school board president was caught mumbling, "fuck you," at a meeting after a parent spoke against mask and vaccine mandates. So basically, a parent was mad about mask and vaccine mandates, was reading them the riot act, I guess. And after she was done, the president of the board is caught on the recording of it, just like mumbling "fuck you" to the person.
Yeah, you should be hanged. It's like I'll show you who to say fuck you to.
So it says a California school board president was caught mumbling "fuck you" after a parent. It's just basically just a headline, but in paragraph form. It says Marlise Davidson, president of the Los Alamitos Unified School District, could be heard uttering the profanity during a recording of the meeting uploaded to the director's YouTube page. district's YouTube page. Davidson's remarks came after a parent, Lauren something, tried to urge the school board to avoid enacting mask and vaccine mandates in school. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention recommends students, teachers, and staffs wear masks in school to prevent the spread of coronavirus, and that everyone eligible to get a COVID-19 vaccine should do so. So they're just going through what's recommended
These
here.
emotions here, yeah.
Yeah. But then it says it should be up to every parent to make that decision, Rupoli said during the meeting. She received applause from the crowd before David quietly cursed at her. The comment came shortly after the 1 hour and 46-minute mark of the meeting. I am going to personally apologize to the speaker, who most certainly deserves to know that when members of the public address the Board of Education, they must be heard and respected, Davidson said in a statement, according to local news station KABC. So basically, after people found out what the president said, they're like, I'm apologizing. And you should know that anytime you're talking to me in the board, we hear you and respect you. Yeah, bullshit.
Uh-huh. Fucking snakes.
It's like you're like the kid who reached into like the cupcake jar and has cupcake icing all over their face and is asked, "Did you get a cupcake?" And they're like, "No, I didn't get a cupcake."
Typical snake behavior, yeah.
She added, "These are trying times, but trying times demand that we raise to our best. I reaffirm my commitment to serve our community with dignity and integrity, and I hope they will accept my sincere apology." Rupoli called for Davidson to step down during an interview with local news station KTLA on Wednesday. After her true colors shown last night, there's no taking that back, she said, which she's right. Like, you got caught saying your real feelings, and then you try to apologize for it as though you didn't mean it when you really did. It's like, no, you're gonna have to deal with the backlash on this one.
What? She can't, like most women, just wiggle out from under the entire point?
No, because she did it to another woman, Dros. So
I'm such an idiot.
the school district didn't immediately respond to insiders' request for comment on Thursday. I'm sure they didn't. It says the drama is the latest in nationwide saga of increasing unruly behavior surrounding school board meetings. Yeah, but it's only unruly because the school boards are so hostile to the parents and the students. You know, if these school boards and school districts weren't doing such shitty things, parents wouldn't be mad.
Oh, of course they would, Whiskey. Everyone knows that everyone having a problem with their kids being taught communist doctrine right now. Really terrible stuff is not that they care about their kids' safety or anything. They're just making it political, like Merrick Garland said.
So it says in the past week, 3 state school board associations have left the national organization as culture war drama boils over regarding topics including mask mandates, vaccine mandates, or teaching CRT in class. So that's the whole article. Is basically the president of a school board got caught saying shit they knew they shouldn't say, and they're desperately trying to cover it up and just move on. You know, nothing to see here. Don't look at the man behind the curtain. Ignore the fact that I didn't care what you had to say in the least bit. Like, seriously, if I were a parent, which thank goodness I'm not in this climate, but if I were, I would be starting to, let's see, I'll use the word collude with every single parent I could find in whatever district I was in to just all take our children out of the school district simultaneously for homeschooling. So just one day, the school has like just 5 kids in it, and their budget is just immediately cut and gone.
Yeah, it would be nice to have to not pay taxes based on something I don't even use anymore.
I mean, you'd still probably get screwed and have to pay the taxes.
Yeah.
Let's face it, they'd reappropriate those taxes somewhere else. See, I don't even mind the idea of paying school taxes if the schools are doing their fucking jobs instead of indoctrinating people.
This is a difficult thing to have to do.
It's like that story that came out that I kind of wish I had looked up, where one school had one of the boys dress up. He was 16, dress up as in women's clothes and give lap dances.
Yeah, I heard about that. I thought that was especially degenerate. And I was like,
Oh yeah, not just
holy,
degenerate, illegal. That would definitely fall under child abuse because you're making them engage in sexual behavior.
it's like that.
Every single teacher involved in that unless they were actively trying to stop it, immediately fired and put in prison. As far as I'm concerned, all of them are should permanently be labeled as sexual abusers.
Yeah, I mean, I would go a slightly different route, but I've already said it enough this stream.
Well, I mean, you said it right at the beginning when you said you support nooses.
Yeah. It's like, oh, we need a third party. I elect the noose party. We're a very bipartisan party. Left, right, it doesn't matter.
The noose comes for all.
Yeah. But yeah, we're gonna get there one way or the other.
But you know who the noose probably won't come for?
Uh, George Soros,
No.
Biden.
You get one more guess.
The redhead with the tits that talks a lot in the White House.
No.
Damn it.
Bob Ross.
Oh, damn it. I knew this was going somewhere.
Bob Ross is just too nice to get the news.
It's too loose to get the noose. He's also dead.
So apparently he was actually a veteran. And if we scroll down, so the article goes, Bob Ross was probably the nicest person who ever lived, and it showed through his work. I think Mr. Rogers would take issue. Well, I guess he wouldn't take issue with it, but you know, he he would be a close running for first. Most Americans knew him as the host of the long-running show The Joy of Painting, but a select few knew him better as an Air Force military training instructor, a drill sergeant for you non-Air Force types. Raised in Orlando, Florida, Robert Norman Ross was always a gentle person. As a kid, he would nurse the injured animals back to health, even going so far as to raise a baby alligator in the family bathtub. I bet that happens more often than it should in Florida.
What, the bathtub thing?
Yeah, with alligators.
Yeah, I mean, because there's no law, I don't think.
He never graduated from high school and went to work with his dad as a carpenter. Viewers may not have noticed part of his left index finger is missing on the show as a result of that work. Let's see. It says he enlisted in the Air Force in 61 at age 18 and spent 20 years in service. Rising to the rank of Master Sergeant, he was even a first sergeant at the base clinic in Ellison Air Force Base in Alaska. That's where he saw snow and mountains, uh, where, yeah, for the first time. Hard to believe that there are some former airmen out there who first met Ross, of all people, while he was shouting at them in a Smokey Bear campaign hat. While it's true he taught basic training, that was not what his career path, uh, not the career path he wanted for himself. I was the guy who makes you scrub the latrine, the guy who makes you make your bed, the guy who screams at you for being late to work, Ross later said.
God damn it! You will paint that goddamn bush right,
Yeah,
motherfucker.
exactly. That's literally what they would do. Is they just yell at you and berate you the whole time.
That's their job. They're breaking you down.
He says the job requires you to be a mean, tough person, and I was fed up with it. I promised myself that if I ever got away from it, I wasn't going to be that way anymore.
Hey, look, you didn't. Explains why. Yeah. See, it's like
Yeah, why he was so chill afterward.
under every man. Under every nice man, like Mr. Rogers got like something like five or like double digit knife kills. It's like, yeah, most of the like people that you know from childhood that were really nice men had kind of a really terrible history. It's like all those movies where it's like, oh man, you fucked with this guy's like wife or whatever. You don't know who this guy was. It's like, no, what do you mean? It's like, dude, this guy used to be like a Marine who murdered people at like exclusively
Yeah.
knife point. Like in a in modern battlegrounds, you should probably run. Cause I'm not gonna vouch for you.
Yeah. Yeah, people, you'd never know who you're fucking with.
You truly
You,
don't, yeah.
it's like that Clint Eastwood line from Gran Torino. You ever realize sometimes you run into someone you just shouldn't fuck with? And you never know who that person's going to be.
There's always a bigger fish.
Yeah. It's like, and it's kind of like that saying I heard a while back, um, where it says, hell trembles when a patient man loses control.
Yeah, I actually read something like a poem someone wrote where it's like, um, the men that want to be left alone are the ones that abstain from violence the most because they realize when they pick up violence that they essentially kill themselves, right? They kill who they once were. But when you do push them over into that realm, there's not like you're fucked.
Yeah, you've pushed someone so far, there is no line they won't cross to fuck you over. I mean, you only have to look at um, a lot of famous individuals in different militaries throughout history to realize there are just people you don't fuck with. Like that crazy English bastard that went into World War II with fucking bagpipes and a broadsword. Or John Paul Jones, who in the Revolutionary War sailed over to England and stole and sunk their own damn ships over in England
Or the
as a
Canadian
pirate.
or the Canadians 1812.
Yeah. But yeah, I just thought it was really interesting because I didn't know that about Bob Ross. And I'm sure a lot of other people didn't. I just remember him being like the most calm and almost monotone person that would like paint, well, honestly, really good paintings, but would paint like the most soothing paintings he could. And, it makes sense. Just like a lot of people that way, they've seen some shit.
Rutgers professor, white people are committed villains. Take those motherfuckers. Okay, hold on.
That's a really dumb take.
Hold
And
on.
here's why.
Committed to being villains.
Oh, hold on.
When you're openly saying you want to kill 80% of the population, you realize you're outnumbered, right?
Well, I guess we can close this out with this, I guess.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't have any other articles, really.
Let me unboot myself.
Oh, hell no. Boomer that shit up.
Alright.
Teach the youngins a lesson.
Hopefully that's right. Yay! Okay. So, this is from MRC TV. Go like them, do all the things for the medias. You know what to do. But this is the thing Izumu just linked me, like literally just now. And so, I figured he'd end out on it. So, I'm
Should
gonna
have linked him the stream in return.
Oh, he's already subbed, so.
Okay.
Alright, so we're gonna watch this and then give our take. Just let me know if you need to pause.
Villains in the aggregate, right? The real sort of issue here, and I've heard people sort of say it, is one, I think that white people viscerally fear. It's not that white people don't know, right, what they have done. They know. They fear that there is no other way to be human but the way in which they are human, which is to, so, like you talk to white people and whenever you really want to have a reckoning about it, they say stuff like, it's just human nature. If y'all had all of this power, you would have done the same thing, right?
Okay,
and it's like, no, that's what white humans did.
No, that's what white humans did.
Okay, first off,
just because black people are literally the only people on the planet that can't build their own empire doesn't mean that white people are the only ones that can.
Does Egypt count?
No.
What about the Zulu Empire?
Considering Egypt was ruled by pharaohs that were appointed from Rome, that wouldn't have been considered black? No.
Well, I mean, that wasn't the whole time, though.
It was the majority of it. It's like, that's like saying, well, Africa being a wilderness is not like all of it. Yeah, there was this time where white people were in South Africa, but then they chased them out, so.
But here's the thing. When she said, oh, they say, everyone's human. Look, human nature, right, is a scientific thing we've actually discovered. How people behave in aggregate and how their psychological tendencies are. You can't then go and claim, well, it only applies to one race. No, because they don't just use one race to figure this out. Like, they didn't just go, let's specifically only do this study with white people. No, they took people from everywhere to figure out if there was differences to begin with. And it turns out, no, human nature is actually the same.
Well, I would say that's a little different spread across races. Is my argument. I mean, you can't say that.
There's different tendencies, and I think it primarily has to do with regional cultures a little bit more than anything else. But then she goes on to say, well, it's human nature. If you had the power, you'd be oppressing too. Well, first off, you're assuming that anyone's oppressing you. You don't look oppressed. If you were oppressed, you wouldn't be fat.
That's a good point. Yeah. I mean,
if you were oppressed, you wouldn't be able to share your ideas online like that. If you were oppressed, you wouldn't be able to have those expensive looking bookshelves and books behind you, right? Like, let's get this straight here. You ain't oppressed.
The only thing that's oppressed is a chicken wing she's gonna have after this goddamn episode.
So to act as though oppression is a one-way street is bullshit. The second is we actually have scientific studies when it comes to when people gain power, when they believe they were oppressed, whether or not they actually were, and the studies show they will actually be exponentially worse to the people that they perceived as oppressing them than the people who they claim were oppressing them were. It's scientific fact. The scientists agree, and it cannot be disputed at this point.
The only thing being oppressed is that chair under her fat ass. I waited for you to finish just so I could say that.
But yeah, no, they've done experiments with basically they got people to role play prisoners and prison guards, and things got out of control fast.
Whiskey, I don't want to hear about your fucking Gmod server. Come on.
And then when the roles were flipped and the prisoners were now the guards, they were way worse to the guards than the original guards to the prisoners.
Yeah, it's because of some perceived fucking wrongdoing, right? And they're just...
Yeah, so they feel justified in whatever they do. Even if they never were. It's never, well, when we get power, we're going to do better. No, it's when we get power, we're going to punish you as much as we can, as hard as we can, for as many generations as we can, even if it's uncalled for.
Yeah, it's like, I would argue that human nature does differ a little bit between the races, but the thing she's talking about is something that's fundamental to all of human nature. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, yellow, green, blue. If you get into a position of power and you feel like you were fucked before, you are going to fuck everyone harder because you're trying to make up some perceived injustice to you.
And that's regardless of whether you were actually getting screwed over in the first place. You just have to perceive you were.
Yeah, you just have to think. I mean, you could literally had all the money, right? Had all the opportunities, had diversity hires, be given prime funding when it comes to schooling, and still be a spoiled little brat that thinks you need to burn down the fucking system, even though you're the one profiting off of it the most.
Yeah, exactly.
White human beings thought there's a world here and we own it. Prior to them,
we thought that because, I mean, who was stopping us?
Well, I think she's talking... I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt here and set aside her racist generalization of white people and point out that she's probably talking about the empires that existed from Europe.
Yeah, again, who is stopping us?
Well, that part of it is the culture and ideas were powerful enough to allow them to do that. And you're complaining because the culture and ideas didn't allow other groups of people to fight back effectively.
I would argue that it was less culture as an idea and more steel and gunpowder. And it was
the thing is, though, if you really want to get down to it, those inventions existed long before we colonized.
Yeah,
and knowledge of those things did travel there, oftentimes from Asia, and culturally they did nothing with it. They stagnated. They kept fighting amongst themselves, at least if you're talking about like Africa being colonized. They fought amongst themselves even before anyone came to colonize them, and they didn't advance because of it. In fact, arguably, they never would have, because huge swaths of Africa still are completely undeveloped because the people won't get their shit together.
Yeah, but we're just defining what development is, Whiskey. That's a white thing, right? How do we know they're not a first world country? You know, and our whiteness just precludes us from seeing that actual fact.
Well, that's not even my point. My point is just they never developed the ability to colonize or fight back. If they did, they would have. And it's their beliefs and their culture that holds them back. And so effectively what she's trying to say is, all cultures and ideas are equal, and they're not.
Yeah, the way I looked at it was she's like, white people just said it was our world. It's like, no, we didn't say it was our world. We had gunpowder and steel, and we were like, hey, these people, they have like spears and arrows. We own this now. It's like, no, you don't. It's like, you gonna stop me?
It's like the people that sell property on the moon, which is ridiculous, because in reality, whoever colonizes the moon, whoever claims it and can occupy it, is the one who owns it. Yeah. And unless someone else can unoccupy it, it's not theirs. That's literally what ownership comes down to. Ownership is effectively use of force at some point to make sure you retain ownership, whether it's two individuals or entire nations. And the concept of owning something is derived from, I have this and I'm not going to let you take it away.
So
Black and brown people have been sailing across oceans, interacting with each other for centuries without total subjugation, domination, and colonialism, right?
What?
I
would
citation needed.
Yeah. I'm gonna need to see your sources there.
I've seen what a show this iteration of treatment of other human beings means, and that my hope is that we would do it differently, in the moments when we have some power. We will not do it perfectly, but I do think that all of us can sort of agree.
You have power now and you're not doing things differently. You have power now and you're
doubling down.
You're doing it worse.
And the other thing I was going to say, shit, I can't remember. Rewind it a minute so I can remember what I was going to say.
The moments when we have some power. We will not do it perfectly, but I do think that all of us can sort of agree that a politics that says like there are superior and inferior human beings just isn't the way to go.
I don't remember what I was going to say now.
Oh. Yeah, it's like, we're going to do things differently. No, the fuck you ain't.
And that's the thing that white people don't trust us to do, because they are so corrupt. Their thinking is so morally and spiritually bankrupt about power that they can't they fear viscerally, existentially letting go of power, because they cannot imagine that there's another way to be. It is either that you dominate or you are dominated. And isn't it sad that
actually
that is spiritually who they are?
Your ideology. See, most of us believe there are more important things than just power and dominating people. And we live our lives like that, enjoying life, going out, having fun with friends, that kind of thing. But because you only view stuff in as far as power dynamics between groups, you assume everyone else does. And therefore, every action taken by another group has to be towards furthering their power, when in fact that's not true.
And that they can't imagine a sort of more expansive notion of the world. The thing I want to say to you is we got to take these motherfuckers out. But we can't.
Yeah, see, I like we got to do things differently. But then we got to take these motherfuckers out. What was that about you thinking you're going to do it differently?
In all fairness, that was a little bit different. See, when we colonized, we weren't like, yeah, let's just kill them all. We were just like, hey, we own this land. You're free to stay here and live, but you have to live under our rules. She's like, oh, we're going to take the land, but you got to die. See, this goes back to what I said, where the people who believe they're oppressed become worse than the oppressors.
can't say that, right? We can't say, like, I don't
Yeah,
believe in a project of violence. I truly don't. Because I think in the end that our souls
you
suffer
truly
from that.
do.
And I do think that some of this is a spiritual condition. So here is where I land most days about white
God help where you land.
people. And I actually have been helped in this by thinking about indigenous people, right? See, part of the challenge around whiteness is that it totally skews our view of everything, right? I gave this like TED talk about this some years back, and one of the reasons I was trying to think about it is like
Again,
the world didn't start when white people arrived in America and tried to tell all the rest of us how things were going to go.
I remember what
there
I was
were
gonna say.
people out here.
Go ahead.
So, she's equating all this colonization with America.
Yeah.
Has she forgotten it was actually the British Empire, and that all that colonization that was done, America was actually colonized and the colonies fought back for their independence? Like, we really didn't want to be part of the British Empire. So she's conflating a lot of the things the British Empire did with, well, America did it.
Because
No.
in her mind, she is mixing whiteness with American.
And here's the other thing. If you want to get down to it, when you say, oh, well, white people are colonizers, no. See, there's plenty of different sub-races. Like, you got Saxons, the English, the Romans, which are kind of the Italians now, the French. Like, it's not one group of people. You're actually lumping a lot of smaller groups of people in with each other based off the color of their skin, which is incredibly racist.
That's because they believe white people don't have any culture.
I would say German and Italian culture are pretty different.
I mean,
I would say French and American culture are very different.
I would say, if you look, Germany, France, Britain, Scotland, Ireland, most of East Europe, all of these places have different culture. I mean, like, when I say that, like, it's not like going from state to state. It's like going from world to world.
Yeah,
in terms of culture.
It really is.
So to say white people have no culture is actually incredibly racist. Like,
and incredibly ignorant.
Yeah, you're actually being an ignorant fuck, to quote your professors, basically. Like, white people, I would actually argue that white people are one of the races that have the most distinct flourishing of culture. We have so much culture that we fight each other over the amount of culture we have.
You're not wrong. There have been wars fought over pretty petty reasons.
Yeah. Like, we fought wars over reasons between whites that would make other races look at each other in, like, fear. Like, people point at, like, religion. It's like, honestly, if you think religion is the cause of most wars, please go neck yourself. Most wars are started on really stupid shit.
Yeah, like, I had a teacher who was intentionally trying to paint religion as the worst thing that has ever happened. And they're like, oh yeah, more blood has been spilled in religious warfare than any other thing. And in my essay that we had to write with this as the topic, I basically pointed out that, well, actually, the ideology that has killed the most people in the world is communism by far, and the crusades that you're referencing don't even come anywhere close.
It's a fucking pittance.
Yeah, it's a rounding error at that point. She didn't like me.
here making worlds, Africans and indigenous people being brilliant, and libraries and inventions and vibrant notions of humanity and cross-cultural exchange long before white people showed up being raggedy and violent and terrible.
Citation needed.
Yeah, what?
So which nation, country, or tribe had these things?
Yeah, I was about to say.
And what date did they have them that predates things?
I didn't know the Zulu tribe had libraries and shit, man. Wow.
And if you're talking about Egypt, to your point earlier, yes, where your ruler was appointed by effectively Italians.
Yeah, like there's not many instances you can point to where blacks have really excelled at civilization building in history.
And the interesting thing is Africa's pretty rich in natural resources, so it's not like they didn't have anything to work with.
Yeah, I mean, I can get into the real reason why I think this is, but we would definitely get banned off of YouTube, even after 2 hours.
Like I said, a lot of it is just culture.
Yeah,
and it's the way civilization developed, or rather the lack thereof, in that region.
All I'm gonna say is, like, Jared Taylor has a couple of ideas as to why this is, and he's got pretty good ideas when it comes to it, right? And it's still to the point where we still cannot admit that, IQ might be a little different depending on where you live.
Well, actually, one thing they have found with relation to IQ, you can't increase a person's general IQ. So that's basically your ability to learn new patterns. What you can do is decrease it through starvation. Africa, for most of the time people have lived there,
Starvation.
a lot of people were starving.
That's fair.
So, when you're hungry and lacking the nutrients your brain actually needs to function properly, your population is going to be stunted. Because you could have someone who genuinely is really smart, like an Albert Einstein, but if they're starving to death, they're not going to be able to use their brain to anywhere near their full capacity. On top of that, they're going to be using their brain only for, how am I getting my next meal, not how do I turn this barren land into a paradise. They're just thinking, how do I not die today? And in Africa, they never really took steps past that point.
Yeah, just a fun little thing that you can look into and see that black people never really had their shit together when it comes to civilization. So anyone claiming that, like, white people came over and kicked over their fucking excellently built sandcastle and took them away to America and to live a life of, like, chains and poverty.
Yeah, Wakanda was not a real place.
Yeah.
I know that's a controversial opinion, but it didn't exist. The Marvel comics are not a documentary.
They felt like one.
Terrible and trying to take everything from everybody. And that's really important, because if we believe that history starts for us when white people drag us to these shores, then we can never get outside of the notion that this is going to be our existential struggle.
I agree.
All things
I kind of agree, yeah.
White folks are not infinite and eternal, right? They ain't gonna go on for infinity and infinity. And that's super important to remember, that
she was like right there. It's right there at the point she needed to be, and it took a hard left turn right into the brick wall.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we can't live thinking this is the start of history, and immediately goes, but this is the defining point in the start of our history. It's like,
no,
damn it, you were almost there.
God, it reminds me of the Dark Angels in fucking Warhammer 40k, where it's like they have a prisoner locked up, and he's like, you should probably stop hunting all the traitors of your chapters because you're getting a little defined by it. And they're like, I see what you're saying. I was just saying, if we kill all the people, all the traitors, we won't be defined by it. Great idea. Yeah.
White colonialism and imperialism.
this is exactly what you were talking about earlier, where you said we're talking about people you can show evidence to and they just won't believe it no matter
Yeah.
what.
They are literally the modern day fundies. Like when I was an atheist, there was a term people would throw out called fundies, which was fundamental Christians, right? These are people that you do not argue with because they will not accept any argument. They will always go off onto their magical little fucking area of religion and they'll be like, well, you know, God did this or God does that or God works in mysterious ways. And, you know, I can literally be like, you know, at one point, your church stopped people into believing that, you know, the sun was the center of the universe. And they'd be like, yeah, but it's not like that now. So God, you know, God obviously corrected that path. It's like, okay. Like they'll wave away any criticism of what they're doing with some other bullshit. And it's just, what can you do with those people? Like they always have another rock that they can hide behind that intellectually is impenetrable because it's their faith. And it's the same way with communists. They believe communism works. They don't care if it doesn't. Because if it doesn't, it's not because their belief was wrong. It was because the world wasn't allowing it, right? Like the world.
Well, yeah, it's because the next enemy prevented it.
Yeah, or
because there always has to be an enemy.
Or we just didn't do it right, guys. We just gotta try it again. And it gets worse and worse and worse each time. Because they, instead of actually self-reflecting, they always push all of it on the existential person or system or belief, and they go, that's why that is. So for black communists, it's just like whiteness. It's like, yeah, black people haven't built up a nation because white people stopped it. It's like, no. Just like she's saying, she's trying to say like, oh, well, we had a country before white people took it. It's like, no, you didn't. You had tribes, roving bands of tribes, where you would sell each other off to white people at the highest bidder because you wanted less rivals in your nation that you weren't even dredging up basic resources in.
Yeah, like, are they forgetting some of the first slaves in America were because we went to try and have peaceful relations with some of the tribes to trade with, and they were actually given as a gift? And had they been refused, they would have been executed for being a bad gift.
Yeah, because they're just trying to get their rivals out. They see you have a boat, you're going somewhere where these motherfuckers ain't coming back.
Yeah.
That's like, stupid.
It's not just that there were colonizers, as you claim. Your own people sold you out.
Damn.
So, you know, maybe you should start fixing things at home first.
Yeah, that's... Well, the problem there is you can't fix things at home there either, because they look at American blacks and call them spoiled.
Well, I didn't necessarily mean in Africa. I was just talking about your own people are selling you out. Maybe you should fix your own culture first and then try fixing other people's.
Yeah. Well, the problem is they actually don't have much culture. They have to leech the culture out of everybody else.
Yeah, they had more culture back in the 50s and 60s than they do now.
Yeah, it's like realistically, I mean,
like, can you name any piece of modern black culture that does not stem from people who went through the prison system?
Or just that isn't just reappropriated white things, right?
Yeah.
Like dreadlocks.
I think that's a Jamaican thing, though.
Well, no, because Celtics have been wearing dreadlocks for ages.
Oh, that's a good point.
So, like, realistically, there's a lot of things that were, like, reappropriated. And it's like, and I'm not really one to, like, start pointing lines in the sand and be like, oh, this is our culture and this is your culture. But I didn't start that. You did. Like, you're the one going like, oh, white people have no culture. White people just try to take everything from us.
Yeah.
We can't have shit. It's like, actually, you're the one taking all the things.
Well, it's like Crowder says, because he has Cultural Appropriation Month.
Yeah.
And he says, to appropriate is to appreciate, which is true. You're
Yeah.
acknowledging whatever piece of culture that is actually really good. In fact, it's so good, you're going to adopt it into your culture as well.
Yeah.
It's actually like a very high praise that a separate culture looks at you and goes, you know what? You're doing this one thing or multiple things in some cases really well. We're going to throw out what we were doing that this will replace and use that instead.
Yeah, it's like if, like, I watched Dune recently, okay? And in Dune, one of the houses has like Asian house plants and Asian architecture everywhere. And it's like, they didn't steal that from Asians. What they said is that that style is so good looking and so enduring that it belongs to come into space as a sign of regality. It's like, that is a level
High
of
praise for it, not just being like, oh, see, and the whole thing of, well, you're stealing our culture. No, if we stole it, you couldn't have it either.
Yeah.
It's not like we went to Mexico and was like, okay, none of you can eat burritos or tacos anymore because we're eating them in America. You got to stop that now.
Yeah, it's funny how they can take the shit from white culture. But, oh, if you wear a sombrero, or you drink tequila, or you do something that's mildly from another race, oh, you're appropriating now. It's like, go fuck yourself.
It's a good thing we're after the 2-hour mark for this segment.
Yeah.
Capitalism has a beginning, and in my way of thinking about the world, that means it has an end. And so part of what we are trying to do is to imagine what are the steps that we must take to get to the other side of this very inconvenient, epochal interruption of like Black and Indigenous world making.
Hang on.
I mean, does that give people comfort on a day-to-day when you like just having to deal?
Just say that if she imagines history had a beginning, so it'll have an end, and it kind of sounds like she just wants to decide how everything ends, not kind of the path everyone's on the way.
I think she's trying to say, although she's being really stupid about it, that like white people started history, and that they're going to end the chapter of white history and begin the chapter of Black history. So,
at least it would make more coherent sense.
That's what I'm trying. That in my mind. That's how I parse it. I might have read that wrong, but
deal with white folks and the travesties that they create and the sense that they want to destroy the planet. Nah, there is a world beyond even our sojourn on the
destroy
earth.
The
and
planet.
So,
have you seen all the people who are environmentalists? They don't, like, there's a big movement about not destroying it.
Well, what's funny is, did you see the whole Greta Thunberg concert thing they had?
I remember hearing about it.
Yeah, so they had this like climate change concert where they bust out like all this equipment. Like, it was like a football field where they sang Rick Astley and stuff like that. And it's like, you guys put more of a carbon footprint in one day than probably most of the American public do over a course of a year. And you're going to be the ones lecturing us about how we're killing the planet.
Well, and they forget the people who have the largest carbon footprint, the largest effect on the environment, are the ones living like in the cities, not the people living out in bumfuck nowhere, like most conservatives, because the majority of conservatives aren't in cities. So maybe instead of bashing conservative policies, you should again look at cleaning your own house first before you bitch about someone else's being dirty.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Whiteness is gonna have an end date because it is not, despite what white people think of themselves, they do not defy the laws of eternity, right? Their projects are not so sophisticated that the natural laws of physics change for them. And when we
i.e., we're niggas, we know how to fuck shit up, we'll win in the end.
sort of humble them
It's not like you can defy the laws of physics either. It's the same for both of us.
Yeah.
And your laws of your subjective morality and power games have nothing to do with the laws of physics.
Yeah, it's just like, wow, man.
You're conflating a lot of things in that statement.
Well, see, you gotta give her this, right? She knows, because she's been at the bottom so long, she knows that nothing is forever. Because she's constantly failing herself, right?
Which is a true statement. Nothing lasts forever.
So she's just like, I'm just gonna fuck it up until it ends up falling over. And it's like, I mean, enough people do it. Enough people doing that will do it.
I mean, you can, but you fuck it up for yourself too.
Yeah, but they're too stupid and short-sighted to see that.
humble our own understandings of whiteness, it seems like the biggest giant that we face. But in the end, right, it is what I like to say is, black folks were out here for centuries and centuries and millennia doing all kinds of wonderful things and probably some up things too, but whiteness is largely an inconvenient interruption. And so we then get to ask ourselves, so why am I here in this moment of it? Like, damn, why did I show up in this particular iteration? And it's like, well, I think we showed up in this iteration precisely so that we could.
Is that black people were around a long time before white people and will be around a long time after? I don't think she realizes nothing lasts forever.
I like that she's basically proposing that black people are isekai'd into this white world to save the world.
Well, no, her proposal is almost the opposite. That, white people just kind of existed at some point long, long after black people were here, and apparently built amazing civilizations that there's no evidence of.
Yeah, but this little bit she said was just like, she's like, I wonder why we're here in this iteration. And I think it's because we put here so we can undo the whiteness. And it's
no, she was asking why her specifically was here at this time. Like, why would she have to endure this portion of the timeline?
Because Aqua's your goddess.
And you weren't smart enough to wish that she had to come down with you. That was such a vindictive way to do
which
it.
Which is a racist anyway. Which is another symptom of whiteness.
But no, this is just someone who is racist, and they're trying to reconcile the fact that they're racist with the fact that they think racism is bad.
Only white people can make a system in which you get anything you want, but it always ends up cursing you.
No, you're thinking of the monkey paw.
Which is a Chinese tale, I believe.
Yeah. So the Chinese will make that system. In fact, I think it's called China.
Help to figure out an end and a way to the other side of this, gargantuan historical tragedy that is white supremacy.
Yeah.
So yeah, she talks like she's an expert and an authority, and in reality, she don't know shit. That's kind of sad.
It's not just a white thing. Yeah, there was a lot of Arabic slaves, a lot of Arabic slave takers.
I mean, that is one of the reasons I believe the Crusades were launched.
And Ben Shapiro is getting his Jew on.
Great. 1, you're a liar. 2, you're the biggest anti-Semite in Congress.
Typical Jew. Always one.
I mean, honestly, you could have just stopped at 1.
Well, he's Jewish, so he's gotta like flaunt that anti-Semite, because anti-Semite is the biggest thing you can call
Also,
somebody.
this is a congressman.
He's yeah,
That's
Ilhan
bullshit.
Omar. He's calling Ilhan Omar anti-Semite, right? And while I agree that she is, I also dislike Jewish people just being like anti-Semite, Holocaust, blah blah blah. Remember, we died. It's like you're not even part of that generation, dude. Calm down.
It's almost like they're doing the "We Was Kings" a little bit, except theirs actually happened.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is like they use that as a justification to basically browbeat everybody. Like I've seen no small amount of Jews invoke the Holocaust to get things they want.
Yeah, which is wrong. It's one thing to be like, yes, this is a thing that happened in history. It was pretty fucked up. But to use it to try and get your way, I could never approve of.
Oh, damn it. I know what I forgot.
The outro?
No, I forgot the sunglasses.
Well, okay then.
Maybe not though. Let's see. But yeah, no, that was our outro. So I will see you guys next week. Same with whiskey.
Yeah, we will see you next week. Or, no, they'll hear us. We can't see them.
Yeah, you'll hear from us in a week. Don't call us, we'll call you. Also, like and subscribe as soon as I figure out how to end the stream on my computer. Or before.
You need to set up a macro. You just hit one button and it cuts the stream.
I wish I could.
You can. You're using OBS, right?